Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Live, Season 3, Episode 49, Dragon Slayer Briefing with Liam's Creamy Goo, which I forgot to put on tonight, as you'll see. So, yeah, that was a misleading title. But no, how are you all? Hope everyone's well. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Great.
Well, we've got the raid to cover, haven't we, guys? We've got a fair bit to cover. We've got a few of the changes that will come up. So I think we'll just go into it, shall we? So we'll start on the discussion that you were suggested to start on, Andrew, which was the siege cycle structure change. And I believe you guys have got quite a lot that you wanted to discuss about this. So, I mean, where do you want to start? Should we read it out, or should we break it down bit by bit?
Well, I think we should break it down by bit by bit. We start off with we're closing in at the start of a siege cycle, and we're reviewing player feedback and making a few adjustments to the structure of this season. As most of you know, when this leadership team took over, we said we will be experimenting with different cycle structures until we found the sweet spot that was right for both the community and the game. Initially, our impression was the structure of the skirmish cycle worked out quite nicely, so our plan was to double down. However, we've been listening to player feedback and found that there were still some community concerns that could be addressed, so we're trying something different instead. The key point of this is we only have one raid fleet to get from this raid. December raid from 2 hulls to 1. For the December raid, we are having 2 hulls available and choosing one. We are only going to release the Eradicator. Targets in this raid will be a skirmish cycle target, which you're currently equipped for. In the December winter activity, the Krampus event, which is coming up, the Eradicator flagship will be released so you can complete your fleet. Let's pause there for a second. Our flagship is coming in the Krampus event. That's not a halftime repair event coming up, I believe, on the 22nd of December.
Yes, the Christmas version of Bacon reborn.
That's going to be tricky.
Well, do you think it's good or bad?
I think it's bad. Simply because this makes this event, if you want to get the flagship, because it would be possible to get this flagship and possibly have it for the first raid through here.
If you're willing to spend.
If you're willing to spend. It should also be in the January event, but I have found that these events, like the Phantom Fleets and the Bacon event, they've both found excellent ways to put a great deal of pressure on us to try to get us to grind through those events. I grind through them harder than I do through the raid.
Yep. Well, and let's face it, if you're going to do them for little to no coin out of pocket or out of your account, whatever you might want to call it, you have to plan strategically and tactically in them to say, okay, I can do X and I can walk away and let it repair and come back and do a little bit more. And you know what I mean? You got to be willing to do that if you're going to try to do it for free, and make sure that you're getting it done, and working your battle plan as to how you're going to do it. Now, when you combine that again at a major holiday time, I know not the whole world is going to celebrate Christmas, but a good chunk of the world does. To me, that's bad form again.
Yeah, I rarely play at Christmas, to be fair. I mean, Christmas for me is it's a time when I actually get some time off normally, at least take a week off and eat food and drink beer. And, I don't want to be sitting at a PC playing a game.
Right.
Have they put forward a date for the event yet?
I'm just saying the 22nd?
I think it's the 22nd. I'm not positive. I'll see if I can find a better time for that. I mean, I think I saw that on Discord. So
it would be running through to the Monday, which is the 24th, 23rd. Okay. Well, I mean, it's the first, really, isn't it, for them to put something like that in? Put the flagship in there.
And the raid will be on the 3rd of January, so it'll be quick. Well,
that means for the only way that we would have that ship prepared and ready was, even if you coined, would be to have another bonus VXP weekend before the raid.
Yes.
Unless they put VXP tokens in the Krampus event as well. Which They could do that. Yeah, let's ring the cash register. I don't have that queued up like I did for TSM though, a couple shows ago.
That is way busier at Christmas than I'd like. Surely they need to take some time off as well.
You'd think so.
Okay, moving on. As I look forward to the January and February raid. In January, we'll be releasing the Shrike. Raid targets will be designed for your Eradicator to tackle. We will not see the Shrike targets in January. That's another key thing. In the following month, in February, raid targets will be available for both the Eradicator and Shrike. And then in the next month, which will be the Hull raid, both targets will be there as well. And then they say at this point, we'll have reached parity with having 2 hulls and 2 sets of targets available. So there's an element of choice in what you'd like to hit.
Well, yeah, but see if they're not allowing us a choice to pick one from the get-go, then there isn't really a level of choice, is there? Because you're going to have...
Not as much as we've had, no.
No, because you're going to have to build the first one to play it at all, aren't you?
Yep.
And
that is correct.
So there's not actually a choice, because everyone's going to build the first one so they can play in the first raid. And then they're like, well, yeah, but you've got a choice. Well, not really you've not got a choice, because your choice is to either build the first one or build both. Do you know what I mean? That's not really a choice, is it?
It's not much of a choice. The caveat is that you could apply the Hydra and the Buccaneer from our last siege cycle to the lower end targets, grind them out, and not build the Eradicator fleet if you were that dead set against it. I think that would be a mistake, but that's certainly an option that some people may want to explore.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe how quickly the shelf life of them. It doesn't seem like it's been a year, you know. The Bucky Hydra.
Right.
One other thing that we know that is coming out in the January raid is, or in January, will also be the first Tier 8 Defender hull will be coming in January. That's not on here, but we know that's coming. So that'll become important in the next segment.
Yes. So, so overall views then, guys. I mean, what do you feel about the whole the approach to giving us one hull, not giving us a choice anymore and giving us one hull, and also, you know, the flagship being in the Christmas? I mean, overall, what's your opinion on the approach?
Mixed on it. I know that they gave an explanation as to they listened to the community, and no one can see my little bunny air quotes here. By not having to people gripe over which do I choose and which is better, and a million questions like that. That there's certainly some possible truth to that statement. My guess is based on other aspects of things that I don't think the Shrike is ready for prime time yet, and that's the other reason we're not getting a choice. It's got very different mechanics. And these target environments they've talked about are going to be quite different with mountainous terrain and what's the other thing? Directional turrets. I think that's the correct terminology they're using.
Yes.
Although directional turrets to me don't seem to be that complicated, but the mountainous terrain, I'm betting, is creating an environment with the unique attributes of the Shrike would be the submerged artillery platform, that there's some unadvertised features, as we call them around here, that need to be worked out to get the performance to where they want it. So I'm thinking that's really what's going on, but that's speculation on my part. That's not, you know, the word of God or anything saying that's for a fact what it is.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go on, Andrew.
I don't like it because, as you said, we have to build the Eradicators, and first with the flagship. You know, we'll have that fleet done, and I'll have practiced with driving the Eradicator for multiple raids. By the time I get my Shrike fleet fully completed, I will pretty much be at the hull raid and learning how to drive that.
Yeah.
In the most difficult raid. I mean, that's the problem I'm having now. I can drive my bat rays like a monster, but I'm an idiot when it comes to driving my Razor Tails around because I haven't had 3 months of practice with them.
Right. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, you know, once again, we've got to build both hulls. If you want the optimal situation, having both, you know, complete fleets and everything, sure, that's the best solution. I've got a number of guys that I've worked with and I know in the game that said, I'm not building both. I'm not doing it. They can't make me. And they chose one, they built it, they stayed with it, and they've lived with it. And like one of them said, okay, yeah, it's going to cost me an extra 1 or 2 coin here and there, and I may have to take a few more breaks to let fleets repair. That's fine. It's a game. I'm not going to let it rule my life. So,
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, the last raid that I bothered to build both was the Bucky Hydras, and I haven't bothered with the Bat Ray Razors. I've only built the Bat Rays, and the same with the Manticores. I only built one style of them, and I think having the choice is the correct way to go. Like for me, like they've taken that choice away because I will have to build the first hull that comes out. And once I've built it, then I'll need to add the flag. Then no doubt I'll need to start adding limited weapons, that I'm collecting as I go. And,
escalation tech.
So, exactly. So by the time the other hull does come out, it'll be way too late. And I think it's almost like Kickstarter almost certainly lining that hull up to be one of the least popular just by their own release timeline.
That's entirely possible. Yeah.
And looking down after this raid cycle, when these raid ships turn into time-limited campaign and chore fleets, well, we have 2 wildly different ships here. How are they going to have time-limited campaigns where we can use either or are they going to have completely split time-limited campaigns? And when it goes to the map targets, which one is going to work?
Well, I mean, how frequently have we seen, where they do time-limited campaigns that are, and you were punished because of which hull you picked? We've seen that a lot in the past with Icebreaker monos, with Phoenix and carriers, and it's something they do a lot. And then you get to the point and you're like, damn, I can't do that because I don't have the right fleet. And like you say, what about the map topics? They probably know. Like they'll probably, I don't want to be like negative, but I could certainly see them designing the map targets so the Shriek is more effective in the knowledge that everyone went for the first one. Do you know what I mean? That just seems likely, I'm just saying that, but it just seems likely. Okay. Is there anything else you guys wanted to go into on this subject?
No, we should get to the raid. There's a lot to cover here.
Yeah. Well, no, I think there was 3 bug fixes. I'll just quickly tap onto them, but I mean, it's going to take a second, So, where are we? As you can see, I've got the professional notes to the left of me, which you can't see. The patches were basically nothing. I mean, well, actually, I think this was quite important to some people, but I don't know if it's been confirmed to be right or not. Ships were not always targeting the KD's drones.
Not being a KD's owner, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't own a KD's either. Me.
Well, I never built one, but yeah. Relocation confirmation was displaying an incorrect number of days. Anyone notice that?
No, I had.
That's about.
Although I did hear people talking about some issues with relocation this week, here and there. I don't know, just confusion, or if it was locked for a while, unnecessarily long or something. But
so was there? See when they did the whole sector crunch, was there a lot of relocation issues there? Because I didn't relocate for a good few weeks after that. But was there a few bugs from that?
Oh no, I leapt around for almost a week solid.
Yeah. I had a number of my friends come rolling through. I'm in the same spot where I landed, and that's fine. But I've seen a lot of people roll through.
Okay, guys. I got this. So I got the Dragon Slayer up. The Dragon Slayer event. Fred, I'll be grabbing from that. But so the overview begins Thursday, December the 6th at 9 a.m. PST, and it ends on Wednesday, December the 12th. So that is a lovely 6-day raid, guys. And the store closes on Thursday, December the 13th. So just be careful of that, because I always thought that with these type of raids, we had a little bit longer on the store. Did we not? To the Friday, or am I thinking of bounty?
You're thinking of bounty.
Yeah, I mean 24 hours. I guess most people have already decided by then. But yeah, just be careful if you're going to build your points up to the very end, because you've only got 24 hours. So targets, I guess not. Is there much new on the terms of the targets? There's a
the co-op at the top of the top of the food chain there.
Mhm.
That's new.
Gale Defense System 4 Shard.
Yeah, these are the limited items that came out in the Halloween Ghost Ship event, which they had said would not be available again for a very long time, if ever, or some verbiage like that. Yet here they are.
Well,
I think that is to a degree the fact that so many people are talking how necessary they are. The anti-torpedo as well. So,
and do we have any more information about the co-op target difficulty, or I mean, is it 2-player? Is it 4-player? Well, you know,
it is 2-player. Go ahead, Andrew.
It is 2-player. I bet it's going to be super nasty.
Yep.
But
fully built, legendary top end, and good driving.
yeah,
Increase
anti-torpedoes. Yeah, you know, make sure your flagship has at least 15 limiteds on it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Top of the line stuff.
Right. So, are you guys ready for it?
I'm going to do it once just so I can say I did it, and then I'm probably going to go to the next set.
So how about a carry? I'll be the co-op guy, all right? I'll sit in the corner and you can just kill it.
Yeah, not likely.
Right. Okay. All right. That's that plan. Okay. Tier 8 set. Is it? Is the target? Do we have any confirmation if the targets are much different from last time? Have they did the usual up damage and whatnot?
I would expect to see the usual step up in damage, similar structure to how they have been. You're going to try to break them off in groups and take them down piecemeal, wolf pack style.
Minimum max blitz.
Yes, the new blitz stuff. The new cost for the blitzing.
Okay. So the minimum cost, what? Minimum cost, they say minimum cost 8 and maximum cost 15?
Right. And they give double points as you blitz. So this is this is now much more expensive to blitz. I believe last time it was 5 coins to blitz per. Now it's up to 8.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally,
it's less than it was in the bacon thing, but yeah.
I personally am not a blitzer, but it's more expensive and it's changed. In addition, there are no more blitz targets. All PvE targets on the map are blitzable, except for the co-op ones. But all the rest of them, you can blitz anything you want now.
Okay. Well, they've not actually listed that next to anything other than tier 8. It looks like in terms of the min, but I guess there's no min on the other ones, or
correct.
Right. Okay. I noticed that there's a tier 7 co-op target in there as well, but it doesn't seem to be showing any loot on the release notes.
That is correct. There's no limited shards dropping. It's just points and res.
Right.
And the experience of working with a teammate on the target. Yay.
I do hope the res is good and covers all of my repairs.
Okay. Well, it looks like most of the targets are similar then, other than the stuff we've covered. Have I missed anything there?
No.
I mean, there's a bit under additional targets. Tier 8 target 106 releases hydrofoil tack shield shard, or nailhead rocket shard, and there's a 104 that offers a Gatling storm shard or the hydro atomizer nozzle shard. Is that right?
Right.
There, the 102 and the 100 are not listed here. They weren't listed in the last raid either, but did show up. So they might show up here as well. If they do show up, that 100 is pretty tasty for Bat Race.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
at least the damage to points ratio is pretty nice on those for Bat Race.
Okay. New PvE content. The Eradicator. There's a lovely picture. I don't know if I get it up on screen. Let me screen share that.
Well done on the art team, by the way. I kind of like it.
Oh yeah.
How's that looking? Can you see it?
Yep.
So, what's your guys' early thoughts on this whole?
Well, yeah, with their, I guess I should put this out there that there has been no preview and testing session done on these, so everybody's going in blind on this. Nobody's has had a chance to drive it, use it, build it, test it. see what it might be like in its environment. So a lot of guesswork here. And the fact is we don't know what sort of things we might need to actually build this the right way or the best way or the most usable way. A lot of guesswork involved there. It's got some good stuff to it. I was a little surprised the speed was as low as it was initially, but then when you mess around with it and you look at the frenzy ability, which is the unique but not all that different from some other things we've seen before. You've got that speed up in there, but it decays so quick.
Mm.
And that is leading to a lot of speculation that we were talking before the show. Are we going to deal with bunched up targets where you go into a frenzy and then you kind of cool down, so to speak, before you hit more of them? Is it going to be you can keep it going in frenzy mode throughout the whole thing if you drive it right? No one knows.
I would lean towards your second one there, but yeah.
Right.
And that would probably be the key to taking the least damage is to go target to target, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Well,
But I mean,
some of the things. Sorry.
No, sorry, I probably interrupted you. You carry on.
Some of the things to notice is our max weight is 40,000 tons, so we can put some really chunky specials on this, even with the weapon weight, which we'll get to. But as a spoiler, it's like 1,900 tons per gun, so you can still mount some of the big specials that have like 30 and 40% weight on them, which is really nice. The ballistic range is shorter than I expected. Normally it's about 50% on these hulls, and it's 45. So it'll work out to about a 97.5 range, I think. The defenses are both really high. We're going to be in the 90s again, just like we were with the last hulls. There's a baked-in tactical field resistance. Does that mean we're going to be hitting ice or slowdown fields or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
6 weapon slots, man, that's not very many, but these are some pretty powerful guns. It just means I'm not going to be able to fiddle around with, say, like sneaking some countermeasures on here without seriously affecting my firepower.
It's got that big chunky building damage buff as well. I mean, by the time you start adding some other specials to buff that, you could probably make those 6 weapons pretty serious.
Oh, yep. On a tinkered build, I got up to plus 1,400% building damage. I mean, it was a silly build, but still. Very easy to get that building damage nice and high. And yeah, the frenzy, originally I thought the combat speed would be low, but when you build this thing out, I had 2 serious builds that were between 72 speed and 81 speed to start out with before this buff would fire off. These things will be fast.
Excuse me. And I guess we still don't even know what the flagship's going to bring to it. It could be
right.
Well, there's one other part. It's just the regular special ability. This is another ship that gains benefits by having a ton more of these, more ships in one fleet. 25% ballistic damage for each one of these ships that we have. You build 4 of them by the next raid. That's every one of these ships is double damage. That's pretty sweet.
Here's the other thing that says too, when you're looking at these damage numbers, pardon my scratchy voice, how ineffective Hydras and Buccaneers are likely to be against anything but on the low end. Because the damage numbers these things are putting out are insane.
Absolutely.
It worries me to think what the hell we're going to be up against to need that. You know what I mean? But I guess this is like the precedent of the first tier 8 PvE hull to the game. So,
how about we slide down to the Devastator cannon and then go back for the welded barrel, because it won't make sense otherwise.
Okay. No, I don't know. For some reason, I thought I was going to see a splash on that, but
well, that's one beast of a cannon.
That is a chunky cannon. That does
and
more
I have
damage.
When it first saw it come out, it neglected to notice this just only usable on Siege, and I thought, oh my, could I see that doing some serious fun in PvP? Yeah, that won't happen. But that would have been a real boon to defenders in PvP for sure. Probably overpowered.
On a note, this hits one of my pet peeves. The fact that this is siege only and not siege generalist bothers me, but that's a minor gripe.
Generalist, I think, has gone the way of the dodo now, pretty much.
I know.
Yeah, I can't see another generalist coming.
Things to notice about here: the projectile speed is very low, 196. That is a slow projectile coming out of it. And the other thing is the reload time at 4.8 seconds. Even at Scald, you'll be at 1.2 seconds reload, which means you need some ballistic reload on this hull. Otherwise, you're not going to be firing very fast. There's a lot of reload. There's a lot of shots you can get in.
Yep. I mean, HVR shells on that straight away, buffing up the projectile speed
and damage.
Autoloader 2 and 3. That is a great option.
Well, let's have a look at the special as well. I mean, they're both on screen. So,
for those that recall, or hopefully everybody was around for the whole Buccaneer thing, we had a special that did a similar kind of deal in that too. And very mixed reviews on whether it was worthwhile having or not. I know in TSM's case, and I think a number of us agreed with them, that I'd rather have a consistent and higher volume of steady damage coming out of it versus getting the occasional super critical shot in here or there, maybe hitting an inopportune time, not getting the most out of it anyway, but something you can count on consistently. So I'm not, I'm sure I'll pick the special up to have it just in case, but I'm not necessarily thinking of including that in my build.
I also agree. I'm probably not going to put this on my ship. However, for those that want to, this projectile speed bump, which normally interferes with a whole bunch of other projectile speed stuff, does not. So you can have welded barrels and high velocity rounds.
And it does have the combat speed boost to it as well.
Yes.
So I mean, there's another reason that they're trying to nudge you to take it, obviously. But
yes, I'm just running numbers in my head quickly on that cannon and that ship, but yeah.
I mean, the critical chance is pretty nice, plus 20%, plus our R&D at 30, plus whatever our base is. That's pretty good. And you could run a, what is the crew that gives us a bonus to ballistic criticals?
The guys with red paint on their face. I can't remember what they're called now.
Yes. Fearless Berserkers. Fearless Blitzers.
Fearless Blitzers, that's it. Mm-hmm.
So you could get a pretty nice, spicy critical chance, and maybe that will work. I don't know. We have to test it.
So are you liking it? Are we liking this whole, guys, or are we disliking it?
On a lot of the attributes so far, I think we're liking them. Repair duration on it at 3 hours? I think it is.
Yep.
I sure would like to see that be less. Mm-hmm. Some folks have been putting up some concept and theory builds on the page about it, and they're showing, if I recall right, they were showing like a C1 CR charge kind of thing. I'm sure we're going to see the intended armor for this in the FM that follows, based on history. That's how it's worked. And there's entirely possible that we're going to see a special that is intended for this that we aren't aware of yet in that FM as well. Mm-hmm. That's happened too.
Or the Krampus event.
Yeah, either one.
Regardless whether we like it or not, I'm afraid we're going to have to build it. But it's a long build. From all the builds I slapped together, if the armor is the same build as all the rest of the armors we get, over a day per, I'm looking at 16 days per ship. Man, that's nasty.
Yeah.
And that's with an officer. If someone doesn't have an officer, ouch.
I go into these raids, I plan for them where I go in with a full load of tokens. I've done that for years. At least a solid 2, if not 3 years, especially for critical raids where you're getting the next event series haul. So I've got, 6 days there. I've got 2 chests still in reserve as well. So I've stacked, I've forgone some build time speed up now so that I can jump on these when they first come out. So if you're being smart about it, you're going to get 4 shells built. And then you're going to get, a cannon or 2 on them, whatever it is, and an engine of choice or whatever for ranking. and that's at least your critical stuff to get done in time for VXP. But when it comes around to being ready to go by that first event and having 4 hulls going, you might only have 1 armor or maybe 2 across the fleet on them, and just have to live with that for that first event if you're not willing to spend. It's not going to be the end of the world. I've often done that myself.
You might be better off that way anyway, because they might bring out the armors at a later stage. You might not want to fully build them, you know?
Right, because there's going to be some special, limited, whatever else. I mean, once again, history is your guide, and it's going to be a zero repair time add-on that does X, Y, or Z. We've seen it many times over. There should be nothing all that surprising about that thinking.
I mean, why not just put a few of the cannons on? Because the escalation cannon will be out next raid. So,
That could be the other thing too. Get 4 on or 3 on each to see how it goes, and make sure you have the 4 hulls, and don't worry about them being perfect and a completed build if you're building cost conscious and don't want to sink a lot of frustration and so forth into tons of refits. It's okay not to be completely 100% dead, ready to go with a fully built to the max for the first raid.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would take that advice too, and try and get 4 kind of built, and because you kind of want to get that flagship cooking as well, So,
yep,
which is going to come before you.
And if we're throwing 4 of these into VXP and they get slaughtered, well, that's 12 hours of repair. So, I mean, you might not be able to get these all the way to Skuld, but even if you have the 4 naked hulls, you throw them through VXP, even if you just build 3 of them and have 3 ready for the raid, then right after the next raid, there'll be the VXP again, and you can raise all of them up to Skuld.
I guess what we're all trying to say here is don't necessarily bow into the pressure to feel like you have to be complete, done, ready, and spend a bunch of money to do it.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, don't panic. Basically, I mean, bear in mind, also, you may be able to do the first raid in the cycle without having these at all. It kicks eye, for all it's worth, they do tend to give us some kind of breathing space or option in the first raid of the cycle to use older hulls.
Right.
It may not be easy, and it may be hell of a grind, but the option is there. So that brings us on to new PvP content. It's a tier 7 defender called the Highguard Siren.
And sadly, it is rather underwhelming. The Highguard notion with the Warden, and then the Curator, and now the Siren. The Warden, to me, still offers, of those 3, the best attribute package for special effects and unique features compared to the Curator or the Siren. Yes, they have some nice things. 40% reload buff. Okay, nice. But we're also dealing now in refactor land, and your reload is only part of the equation. Your ability to do DPP, as I call it, or the amount of damage per projectile, getting it over that, well, reload doesn't help you with that. Had this thing had a built-in 10, 15, 20% damage boost to the respective types that it's boosting, that would have a lot more value to it, for sure.
This hull is a day late to the party.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it had come out before, maybe we'd been hitting with the T8 stuff. I mean, its ballistic deflection is just.
And we know that in January, there'll be a tier 8 defender hull coming out. If you build this, it will take you 6+ days for the naked hull, plus another 12 days for specials, weapons, whatever you want to throw on it. Well, that's a week away from, 2 weeks away from, we'll be in January by then. Just wait for the next tier 8 hull. Unless you have some super gimmick for this.
Or unless you're lacking, unless you missed the Highguard Warden, unless you missed the Warden, unless you don't have great options for defenders in your base, then this could be very viable. But I would think if you're quite up to speed with defenders, then maybe let's give it a miss.
Yeah, it's a specialty niche kind of deal.
I'll be getting it. I'll be getting it simply just to have in the collection and not be something I missed. But it will certainly 100% probably not ever get built.
Right. And the other thing that it's amazing on people who miss the attributes only affecting Defender class hulls, and so many people who use non-Defender hull classes in their guards. They'll use PvP Conqueror hulls as part of their guard fleet. They don't get any benefit from it.
Yeah, there's such a thin line between Conqueror and Defender. I think when it comes to defense, and it's very common.
That's the most important piece right there.
CTCO Plate 3.
Yep, the last missing piece of the plate armor family from T7.
Last piece of the puzzle.
Quite welcome to see that.
Okay. So you guys are stoked on the armor, but not so fussed about the Defender. Is a general consent.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. So should we go over the CM notes there?
Well, I can cover them briefly.
Have a little cover,
In co-op targets, whoever does the most damage gets the lion's share of the points. Upon completion of a co-op targets, both people get the set bonus. All non-co-op targets in Tier 8 set are blitzable. Minimum gold is 8, max 15. My apologies. I read that as all targets. Tier 8 targets are blitzable. Tier 8 targets are locked to Tier 7 skirmish hulls. No bringing in KDs or anything weird like that. No other targets are locked. There are no hit down penalties, so that's really nice for players. Tier 8 targets are tuned to legendary Bat Rays or Razor Tails with flagship and all the toys. Tier 7 targets are Bat Rays or Razor Tails. Rank 15, I think, is like 50% reload rank.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Tier 6 is legendary hunters, and Tier 5 is legendary regular tide seekers. It's a quite a nice gamut of all of our possible skirmish fleets there.
So in theory, prototypes should be able to handle Tier 5 and probably through Tier 6 as well, if you've got those. I find they work better than hunters, so.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we have the gigantic prize list.
Before we begin with the prize list, everybody remember that this is a 6-day raid. So take your time, plan it out.
Well, listen, what I'll do, Andrew, is I will let you hit the prize list. Do you need me to screen share, or do you have it up in front of you?
I would prefer if you screen shared it, please.
No problem. Well, I'll scroll down and let you go away with it. Just let me know when you want me to scroll down.
Sure.
So the featured prizes. You want me to go? You want me to
No,
go
no,
back
no.
through it?
So the Eradicator is 60 million points. Welded Barrel 15, and the cannon was what, 25?
Yep. Pretty standard pricing for our 6-day.
Right. So
deal.
100 million gets you that ship. You have 6 days to get it. Great. You can scroll down. Assault hulls, if you're missing any of them. The flagship Manticore is there for 20 million. If you're missing the Proto Apollo, you can pick it up. You can garrison hulls. There's the Greta Inferno Dragon. That's 35 million, and I still think that's wildly overpriced.
I think everything there is overpriced, to be quite honest.
Oh, I know. So, are we down to siege hulls yet? Excellent. Yep. Well, for the prices on the siege hulls, for the Buccaneers boon at 20 million and all these, you should just get the one up top. You should just get the Eradicator.
Yep.
Then
how can they justify a Harlock's Ironclad at 4 million? Come on, come on, Kixay. Yeah, what you
collector? It's got to be for collectors.
All right, now we get into all the Tier 7 Conqueror hulls. Okay, if you really need one of these for some reason, such as base defense, or you are just getting into PvP, just build one of these and try to get... They're 10 million. That's still pretty expensive in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no tokens for these in this raid, so you're going to have to build it the hard way. So just be very careful if you decide to choose any of these and build them now. We are in tier 8 land.
Yep. You never want to build too far in the past.
Yeah. They're basically about to fall off the shelf of like usage. But then again, if you, like you say, if a player is just coming into that bracket, maybe they want an impact cruiser in their base. Maybe they want to grab a couple of witch doctors because they're still kind of useful. They can still crack some bases, and so there's options there for people, but don't go too crazy.
And an onslaught with recondite rockets does mess up a breacher's reload pretty fiercely. Defenders, same thing. Apply same thing from the conquerors, except these ones will probably last longer, just simply because base guard fleets tend to cycle less.
And
Also,
Warden is still like quite a commonly used one, I would say, out of all of them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Andrew. Sorry.
No worries. I just got lost in an internal argument with myself. All right, skirmish hulls. If you don't have the Brennus Bat Ray flagship, I recommend it out of there because that alone can do a subsector core all by itself.
Yep.
Everybody should have the Bat Ray Razor Tail. There was a nice co-op campaign. Lots of people should have been able to help you to get both of those hulls, so nobody should be buying those.
Yep.
And the rest of the shards that are always there. The prototype secret at the very bottom.
Yeah, which just had a absolutely almost free giveaway TLC this last week for it.
20 million points penalty for missing that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right.
They always tend to really get quite, I don't know. They put their prices up in these whole stores, I'm telling you that much. Some crazy prices, especially for some content that's almost a year old on there. There's still like 20 million and 10 million. It's ridiculous.
All right. Here's the super chunky part of this. I'm just going to go over these very briefly. If anyone sees anything that they would like to talk about, please jump in. CTCO Plate 3. Absolutely mandatory if you ever want to do PvP or base defense at this point in time.
And at 30 million, it's you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, you are. Let's start scrolling down. Here's the stuff for the Razor Tail, which everybody should have. Here's the stuff for the Bat Ray, which everyone should have. Because of those co-op TLCs. If you don't, they're expensive. And the CICs for the Manticores, the Manticore stuff, it's all there.
UAV turret, as you're highlighting it.
UAV turret. I really like these UAV turrets, and it's almost, but the capacity on those is limited to 8. So if you already have 8, unless that changes when the raid begins, you can't get any more.
Same thing for the Gargoyle depth charge too.
Okay.
Axiom.
Is the Cerberus on there?
No.
I missed that one.
It's all the concussive special, the concussive family of turrets.
Now we get into the Force and Scope family of PvP items. Force adds damage, but reduces range. Scope adds range, but reduces damage. The Forces add 15% damage. And in today's thing, it's a great tool to have in your arsenal. Both of them, it allows some variety in builds, and 15% damage is pretty good nowadays for a buff.
It's funny, but prior to
Go
the refactor, everyone was shoving on the the range boost because of over damage, but now after refactor, everyone's reverting back to the damage buff. You know, it's like a turning the tide. You know.
And let me mention about the force. The force is plus 15% damage. Remember all the upgrades we have, like the ballistic upgrade and the explosive upgrade? That's 10% damage.
Yeah.
So, and at a like 4-hour build time. So if you're willing, you're willing to take a 5% damage cut, that it's a good option.
Mm-hmm.
Hyper 30 at 25 million. If you,
Ouch.
Yes.
What? That's disgusting. Sorry, but come on, that's too much.
Yeah, that's excessive.
All of that is ridiculous. That whole lot there, they need to really reconsider.
I suspect because all these things were originally sharded and had a 5 stack to complete them, the way they priced it is they just made it 5 million a shard. You need 5 shards to complete it, 25 million.
That's too much.
I totally agree.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
There's 5 EMP overloads. Those are good. But there's only 1 tactical focus, which is weird. Hydraulic resistors, you should have gotten them in the time-limited campaign that was out there, because now they're 2 million a pop. It will cost you 10 million to get those.
Agility 4s, they were in that as well.
Yeah.
5 of those for basically free, or now you'd have to spend 20 million to get 5.
Ouch.
Penalty for not doing the TLC if you needed them.
Then we can keep going. Oh, there's Gale Defense System 3s at 4.5 million also. So,
Or pick them up for what, 600K in the weekly?
Or that time-limited campaign at 5 of them in it also.
Yep.
XR Plate 2 is here, but XR Plate 3 is not here. Which is weird.
Explosive resistors are in there.
In here, we've also got some of these weird weapons, the Cryonic Depth Charge, the Scrambler Cannon, and the Lockdown Rockets. Even though the Lockdown Rockets have taken a massive nerf, these are interesting weapons to have.
It's really just, I mean, I guess it's kind of take your pick for anyone that's sort of a bit behind or still has some blueprints to get. I mean, it's great options to catch up, but some of the prices in there are just crazy.
Elite Countermeasure Turret, be very careful about that. It's like a 30-day build time. Even with base parts, it's ridiculous. So just be careful when you get that, if you want it. Yeah, lots of tech. And now I'm down to the tokens.
Down to the tokens, Jesus Christ. That keeps going.
There's a lot of tech. If you're missing some of it is good. There's a lot of limiteds in there.
And then, of course, we've got the resource packs with buying huge chunks of resources for points.
The tokens, these are all PvE tokens. They are all for previous fleets. So, I mean, there's the Brennus Bat Ray build tokens in there. So there are some good tokens which could help you fill out your final bits of your fleet if necessary.
Right.
But there are no tier 7 Conqueror or Defender tokens in here at all.
At this point.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, they've got a habit lately of bringing out a few additional prizes halfway or 3/4 of the way through the event to try to keep people playing and, in theory, spending.
The resources are good, though. I must say, that's good.
Well, I mean, if the Zynthium, if you're building walls, I mean, it's for 80 million for 500,000. That's the 80 million part is really nice. I will give them that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to stock up if you're doing your walls. Okay, well, is there anything else you guys wanted to point out on this rather long list? As usual?
On that long list, was the lowered cannon mount on there?
No,
Did we have? It is not.
The lowered explosive.
Okay. because the lowered cannon mount is something that not everybody, but some of us I know used with our Buccaneers very successfully in the last Siege series. Now, I don't know if that's going to be applicable or usable in this one because we don't know if it's still going to give you an acceptable range to not be hit by a short range you die now turret, but that's certainly a possibility because it does have some nice bonuses to it, but only if it's workable in it.
As a note, there's also no structure build tokens in here. I know we were all building a lot in our base. There's no structure tokens in here, nor is there any turret-specific tokens in here. Build turrets, build tokens.
So, guys, expectations. What do you think? Is it looking to be a good raid, or do you think it's going to be one of those boring grinds?
This looks to be to me to be an easy raid. I mean, I need 100 million for the hull, weapon, and special. I need an extra 30 million for the CTC03. After that, I'm in gravy land. So 130 million over 6 days. I get like 22 million a day. Cake.
And of course,
I can hard repair that.
Yeah, and of course, the best thing is if you can within the first 2 days at least get the hull taken care of, so you can start building. Get yourself on track right away. And don't worry. Well, I want to build it with my special. Build the bare shells. Stick a thud one on it. Get the shells built. You can collect the other stuff as you're going, but don't lose that. You know, every hour, every day that goes by that you're not taking advantage of it is a day you're losing out on. Use your time to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time to get the points. You know, you could probably slow repair and do this raid for almost nothing if you're well prepared for it.
Yep.
Especially if you're only going for like the 130 mil. Well, guys, I mean, we've got 7 minutes left. We could close early. I mean, is there anything you guys want to throw in? Fill up some time. Any subjects you want to cover?
I don't have the chat up. Has anybody mentioned anything in there? Has anybody been watching that?
Well, I had a little look there. I was screen sharing, so I couldn't look too much. Laredo says that we lack enthusiasm, guys. Apologize if we're lacking enthusiasm, Laredo, but I don't know. I'm not very enthusiastic for the raid, to be quite honest. Yeah.
I did on Discord the other day, I found someone who had a really good hint, which I'd like to share.
Sure.
Which is to fill up your PvE ships with res and just park them outside your base in the beginning of the raid. In the beginning of the raid. There is no sniping, so you can just leave them floating out there. And as soon as you start building your fleets, you can bring them all back in and refill all your res.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna take advantage of. I'm gonna get the raid done on day one, and then I'm just gonna hit the res and try and get all my walls done. I'll take advantage of that zinth, fill up, get the walls done. Maybe it's a good time to do. What's your term that you use, Cuttlefish? Is it coastal
raiding?
Coastal raid. It's going to be a great time for coastal raiding because everyone should be full. So Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up the show. I mean, we've not really had a tons to cover. We've just really had the raid to cover, which has been the main subject. In terms of updates and content, I mean, we covered Discord on Saturday. For anyone that missed that, definitely go back and watch the show because we really went into some of the stuff that Kixo brought up. And last week we had a good show with regards to our views on the refactor. So I think next week we'll go into refactor a little bit as well, which will be quite interesting. But of course, we'll have a Saturday show, an open mic, which will be like a mid-raid show. So I'll be interested to see how everyone's getting along with the raid. But I think on that note, guys, I think we're about ready to wrap up. Is there anything anyone wants to throw in?
Good luck to everybody in the raid. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I am looking forward to building this hull. It will be interesting to build. It's just going to be long, and I'm glad to be moving out of this raid cycle and into a new one.
I second that. Definitely. And Laredo, don't take what you're hearing here as any lack of enthusiasm, but more of a just trying to put a little damper on some people that are spiraling out of control over every little announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Injecting a little, rational realism into things is all.
Yeah, I think I would be more excited about the whole in general. I think if the build time wasn't so long, and the fact that we don't have two choices. I hate the fact that we don't have two choices. I kind of feel like I'm being forced to play the game Kickstarter's way, which has always been a thing that the community strongly resists. We like a bit of freedom. We like a bit of diversity. For you to say, next raid's coming, there's the hole, you better get it built. I mean, you may as well just release it with the build on it. You just as well take everything away. So I think that's a bit of that's a big thing for me. I think going into this new cycle. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that one. But I guess the Christmas thing, the Krampus event. I mean, seeing the flagship in there as well. Yeah, I'm going to feel very forced and pressured going into this new cycle because trying to get those 4 ships built, trying to get the flag built. I mean, it's just it's pushing you to spend. I think. But I guess
I would agree.
Time will tell. I mean, maybe we'll see a TLC with tons of tokens. Maybe the Krampus event will have tons of tokens in it. I mean, we could just be panicking or stressing for nothing. So I guess we'll have to we'll wait and see on that. But I guess on that note, guys, then I will end the show. Thank you, everyone who's come out and watched the show tonight. I really appreciate all of the people that come out and watch the shows each week. I know we still haven't put up a post about the Christmas competition, but we will get the post up. I just haven't had a chance. And again, we will have the open mic this weekend. I will aim for Saturday, but I do stay at a hotel on Saturday night. So if the internet's bad, it will be Sunday, unless someone else is hosting. So we'll see you guys at the weekend. Good luck in the raid. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Daniel, for being on the show tonight.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We will see you soon. Good luck.
All righty.